Hey everybody, I wanted to do a video about a lot of scam dealerships that are popping up nowadays. I get calls all the time, fake dealerships that are stealing our pictures and posting cars for sale, and people wanting me to go appraise or inspect vehicles at dealerships that the dealership doesn't exist, the car doesn't exist. So I run into it weekly at least. So I wanted to kind of put this together, see if I could maybe save at least one person from sending money to a company that doesn't exist. So big things to keep in mind with this are the online presence. When you come across one of these websites, keep in mind it is very, very easy and cheap or even free to build a website. So I could go right now and build a website in the next 20 minutes and list inventory and create a fake business name and everything else that literally just doesn't exist. So having a website does not mean that you're legitimate. You'll notice on those websites, a lot of times they use stock photos versus photos of inventory they've actually had. The websites are usually very, very basic because, again, if you're trying to do a quick scam of people, you're not going to spend a ton of money or a ton of time in building the website. So usually when you click on the tabs of the About Us, the contact information, anything like that is going to be very vague typically. So you'll never really see pictures of employees, names of employees, actual people that you're going to be contacting. You'll have a basic, info, whatever dealership name at gmail.com or something like that. You won't have, hey, this is Brad, he works at the dealership. This is Mike, he works at the dealership. Here's their direct contact information. Here's the address. Here's a Google map of it. Here's their reviews. You won't see a lot of that stuff. So keep in mind, you can kind of search around for these things and look at Google, look at Yelp, look at Nextdoor. Those sites require some sort of verification for you to get on them. So for me to list my dealership on Google, Google actually has to mail me something that I have to get a code off of, and I have to go input that. So if I can't get mail at that address that I'm saying my dealership is at, then I won't be on Google. Yelp requires you to upload some sort of license or something to show that you're legitimate. Nextdoor requires you to upload your dealer license, your LLC filing, something to show that you are the person who has the ability and the right to list that business. So if you have a website, but you're not listed on Google and Yelp and Nextdoor, that's a big red flag. Why would you not want to be listed on those things that are essentially free marketing for you? So another thing I see a lot is these fake sites use the same name or a name that is very, very close to another dealer in town that has shut down. So if you see one that says Bill's Classic Cars, and then you do a little Google search, do a little digging on that, you might find out that there was a Bill's Classic Cars one town over or whatever, but it says permanently closed. They went out of business. So these people are trying to get some legitimacy by using a dealership that did exist or does exist, that name, so that when you go do that Google search, you go, oh, okay, yeah, there it is. I see them. They got 500 Google reviews, 4 stars, whatever. But then if you really start looking, you realize the name might be slightly different, or the address is different. The contact phone number is different. That one that's on Google with the good reviews actually has their own website. So it's not the same company. They're trying to put it off like it is, though. I'm going to go into some videos here showing some quick, easy ways to try to find out if cars are legitimate or not. But there's a couple things to watch for that I see all the time. So photos of the cars they have not matching the location. So one of our dealerships is in Tampa, Florida, and in our background, when we shoot our pictures, we have palm trees and it's Florida vegetation, where people will steal our photos and they'll put up and say, this dealership's in Nebraska. Look at all of our cars. And it's our photos with palm trees in the background. I see that a lot. So keep in mind, look at the vegetation around, look at you'll see something where it says it's listed in Kansas and there's mountains in the background. That doesn't make sense. So that should be a red flag to you. Doing Google reverse image lookup, which I'll show later on in this video how to do that. It's very, very easy. You can take the photo that they have, save it, look it up in Google, and see if it comes up to anything else. So again, I'll show it later on in the video, but you'll take that Google image where they say this is the name of the dealership. We're located in this town. This 70 Chevelle SS big block car is 39 grand. And then you go do a Google search on it and you find out that no, it's actually this dealership in a different town, and they have the car for 80 grand. They're the real dealership. They're not the one trying to scam you. What I have not seen is any of these scam sites listing on actual paid websites. So websites like Hemmings, Auto Trader, All Collector Cars, eBay, collector car ads, things like that. I don't see the scammers on there because that costs them money. So they list on free websites. They do a lot of Facebook posts and things like that to draw you directly to their website. You're probably not going to stumble across them on a paid website. So that's another thing to keep in mind. The biggest, most obvious one to me every time somebody calls me is price. The prices are always too good to be true. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. So when you're seeing Restomod Bel Airs for 30 grand and big block Chevelles for 30 grand and 69 Camaros that look perfect for $29,000, their whole thing is to get you excited by that number so that you stop thinking and stop digging in to see if they're legitimate or not, and you just wire them money because you're so stoked you don't want to miss out on this deal. So again, if prices seem too good to be true, they probably are. I'm not saying there's no steals out there to be had and nobody's ever gotten a car for less than it's worth. That's not what I'm saying. But when you come across these websites where they have 50 cars and all 50 of them are priced at half or a third of what they're worth, again, huge red flag. I literally had a guy call me the other day that wanted me to go do a pre-purchase inspection on a 55 Bel Air Restomod. Martin Morrison chassis, LS3 engine, beautiful. I mean, show quality car, looked phenomenal. $29,000. So, I was able to right away tell him that's not a real car. Also because I could tell the pictures were from Street Side Classics. They have, the black and gray checkerboard floors and everything like that. And you can see the 200 cars in the background. And this entire website, which I'll show you in a minute, was made up entirely of Street Side Classics sold inventory off of their website. So, I'll get people that ask me, well, why don't you keep people from stealing your pictures? It's impossible. I have to put my pictures out there in order to sell cars. I want to have on my website, I want to have the cars that we've sold so people can see we do sell cars and see what we've been able to sell in the past. And anybody can log onto a website and right click and hit save or use a snipping tool and cut it out, even if you've got it where they can't hit save. So it's impossible to keep people from doing this. What you can do is make sure you do your due diligence to make sure you don't get scammed. We have had people call us and say, hey, I wired this guy 30 grand and then he stopped talking to me. I got a lawyer involved. They did a Google reverse image search and found that it's actually a car that's on your sold page. And then we say, oh yeah, we sold that car for 80. There's no way that car's being sold for 30. That was a scam. And I hate to hear that, that somebody already got taken. And like I said, weekly, I get calls where people are asking about a car like that, where we can stop them and go, do not give that person any money. That's a scam. Too good to be true. Don't do it. So, those make us feel good. But some other things you can do. Most states have all of their licensed dealers listed online, where you can literally go to Florida's website and you can search for the dealer name, Survivor Classic Car Services, and it'll say, boom, it pulls it up. It will say, here's them, here's when they got their license, here's their address, here's their website, contact phone number, all that stuff. So, you can look up the dealer name, and if it's not coming up in the state system, then they're at the very least not a licensed dealer. If they're claiming to be on their website, then, again, red flag. So a handful of things you can do real quickly to kind of figure out if that dealership you're talking to actually has the car or not. And these are good to do anyway, even if you don't feel like the price is a steal and you don't get the red flags or whatever. Asking some simple questions will keep you from being scammed. So question number one, can I come see the car? Any legitimate dealer that has that car in their building will have absolutely no problem with you coming and looking at a car. So if they start coming up with excuses, well, I'm out of town, or the car's in a storage unit in Indiana. I've heard that one. No, this person just wants a quick sell, so it's going to be sight unseen to whoever can pay first. Any of these things where they object to you coming and looking at them, again, shut it down, hang up, walk away. That's not a real dealer, or at the very least, they're not willing to let you inspect a car before you buy it. Why would you want to do business with somebody like that? So another similar question, can I send a third-party inspector in? Same thing. Every decent dealership will say, absolutely, let me know when they're coming. If they start throwing a fit about it or coming up with excuses or anything like that, walk away. Another easy one, can we FaceTime and just show me the car? If you ask any of my dealerships that, they will tell you absolutely what time works for you. And we will get on the phone and we will show you the car inside out and underneath so that you can see that vehicle exist in my building right now today. Again, if I don't have that vehicle and I'm trying to scam somebody, I'm going to come up with a lot of excuses for why I can't FaceTime with you and show you that vehicle. Can I see a photo of the title? That's an easy one. I have had people tell me, oh, they sent me a photo of the title on a scam website. So that's not 100% guarantee that that's going to save you, but it's another question that you can kind of keep in the arsenal. Can I get a photo of the title? If they're pulling pictures from my website or StreetSide or whoever's websites and creating a website from it, pretty good chance they probably don't have a picture of that title, because dealers don't just hand that out to anybody that asks for it. We want to kind of qualify and make sure that you're a real buyer before we start handing that out. And we'll probably, for consignment dealers, we're going to black out the consignor's information. So you can see that it's the title, the VIN matches that car, whatever state that title's in, but you're not going to get the consignor's information. Can I get a picture of the dealer license? Anybody that asks us for our dealer license, our surety bond, any of that stuff, we send it to them immediately. I have no reason to hide that. We worked hard to get that, so why would we hide that? So again, if they're not willing to give you that, they probably don't have it, and they're probably not legitimate. Just asking them, can you take some photos for me as it sits right now in your building? I see your photos online showing it outside in the sun. It looks great. I know there's a lot of scam websites out there. I just want to make sure that this car exists and that you have it. So can you send me 3 or 4 pictures of the car sitting in your building right now? Again, legitimate dealer, that's not a problem. That takes me 30 seconds. I'll walk out there and shoot you 5 or 6 pictures and text them, email them, whatever you want. If I'm making excuses as to why I can't, huge red flag, walk away. So now I'm going to get into some of the things you can do to really dive in even deeper on this. If you're really getting ready to send somebody money, but you've got kind of a gut feeling that something's a little off. So let's dive into that now. So a couple things real quick that you'll notice when going to a website that's probably a scam. They're very basic. So as we scroll through here, you'll see the contact information is real basic. The logo is really basic. Stuff that you could make. I could make that logo in 2 minutes on a free logo website. You go to the listings or the inventory, you're going to notice that first and foremost, every one I've ever seen, the prices are just insanely low. So, here's a $100,000 car for 25, $80,000 car for 29. One of those, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Another thing to watch for is states not matching up with the pictures. So you got Kansas here and you got palm trees in the background. That doesn't make any sense. I also see them all the time on Facebook Marketplace. So you'll see an ad, you'll click it. A lot of times it'll have a price on it that looks too good to be true. You see that. Very short description, very little contact information. Doing a Google reverse image lookup is a great way to see if this is actually their car or not. So pretty simple. Save the image, go to Google, type in Google reverse image search, click the top one, click the little photo box, grab your image that you just saved, and it will pull up all the matching images. So then I can go to the top one here. Is an actual website that you can list cars on, Motorious. And when I click on that, what I will notice is that the dealership name is different. It's Auto Investors. So I'll go through here, show you, again, we've got a little bit more detailed write-up, a different address. And if we go through the pictures, you will see it's the same pictures. But one thing you'll notice, they have a big sign in the background that says Auto Investors. That's the name of the business. They've spent some actual money on signage. Whereas this place, find that same picture, has actually taken and blacked out that because they don't want anybody to know the name of the actual dealership that has this car.